Hi, this is Kim, Creepy with Coffee. Another episode here tonight. And tonight's episode is actually somewhat a lesson about how, during the older days, our elderlies will always tell us not to sleep during Solat. Well, Solat is actually the Muslim praying time. And why is it not a good idea to sleep during that time? Well, today's story from an anonymous, and he or she is going to tell us about something that happened to him or her when he or she took a nap during that time. Well, like usual, before we kick off with our story, if you have yet to subscribe to the channel, remember to do so. And click on the like button, comment some nice words if you don't mind. And again, do share this content with your family, friends, or whoever it is that enjoy this kind of content. Well, let's get on to the story.
This is Creepy with Coffee.
When I was 16, strange things began to happen to me. Episodes of ketindihan. Well, ketindihan, it's a Malay word for pressing, or what many known as sleep paralysis. The feeling of being awake, hearing everything around me, but being unable to move or speak was terrifying. My body felt pain as if an invisible weight pressed down on me, leaving me completely powerless. Occasionally, I could even see faint, shadowy outlines, though I convinced myself it was just my mind playing tricks. Experts might label it as sleep paralysis, a psychological phenomenon. But after one harrowing incident, I was left questioning if it was something more. It was a quiet weekend afternoon. My father, which is now long gone, may he rest in peace, was alive and healthy then, serving as a Bilal at our local mosque. He had a deep, resonant voice that carried beautifully over the azan, and he took pride in his duties. That day, he had been tasked with leading the Asar prayers. As usual, he left early to prepare, donning his crisp white jubbah, the thick material swishing faintly as he walked. Our house was modest but cozy, filled with the sounds of my siblings chattering and the occasional hum of the television. Despite the activity, my parents' bedroom was always my favorite place to retreat. It was located at the back of the house, with its windows overlooking the damp shaded area by the kitchen sink. The room was cool, dimly lit, and carried the comforting scent of my parents. It was a place that felt safe, a sanctuary. That afternoon, I decided to nap in their room while my mother and sisters relaxed in the living room, watching a Bollywood film. The muffled sound of dialogue and music filtered through the walls as I stretched out on the bed. The cool breeze of the fan overhead lulled me to sleep quickly, but my rest didn't last long. Suddenly, I was awoken by the faint sound of keys jingling, a noise so distant that it immediately caught my attention. It was coming from the direction of the wardrobe. My heart quickened, but I brushed off the unease. In my head, I thought to myself, it had to be Ayah. He always placed his keys on top of the wardrobe when he returned home. Then I heard it again, but this time it came with another sound, the unmistakable swish of fabric, like the sound of Ayah's jubbah brushing against itself as he moved around the room. Well, I do not know whether exactly is this sound, but I think it's a thick material like this, and when it moves, you would hear a sound like this. I hope I portrayed the sound correctly. Well, when I heard that, a wave of relief washed over me. Ayah's bag, I thought. I started to push myself up to greet him, to tell him I'd been using the bed and would leave him to rest. But then it happened. My body refused to move. It was as if an invisible force had pinned me down. My arms, my legs, even my head felt impossibly heavy. I tried to call out, I tried to get up, but to no avail. And also I wanted to let Ayah know that I was awake, but my voice wouldn't come. Panic set in. Something was wrong. I strained against the weight, my mind racing with questions. Why couldn't I move? What was happening to me? My eyes darted around the room, and that's when I heard it. A sound so chilling it froze the blood in my veins. The laughter was loud, piercing, and inhuman. It echoed through the room, mocking and cruel, like the cackle of something not of this world. My heart pounded against my ribcage as I struggled harder, desperate to break free from whatever held me captive. Sweat dripped down my temples, soaking into the pillow beneath me. I tried to scream, but no sound escaped. Instead, I focused on reciting Ayat Kursi, a prayer I'd memorized from moments of fear. But in my panic, the words come out jumbled and broken. The laughter now grew louder and louder, almost deafening, as if the unseen force was mocking my futile attempts. The weight on my chest grew heavier, and for a moment I thought I might suffocate. In a final act of desperation, I summoned every ounce of strength I had and forced out a single phrase, Allahu Akbar. Just like that, the weight lifted. I shot up from bed, gasping for air. My body trembling uncontrollably. Without hesitation, I ran to the living room where my mum and sisters were still engrossed in their movie. My voice shook as I asked, "Has Aya came back?" My mother barely glanced away from the screen. "What you talking about? It's barely 10 minutes since Aya left for the mosque." "No, of course not. He's still at the mosque. It's not even time for azan yet." I felt the chill run down my spine. How was that possible? I had clearly heard the sound of his keys and his jubah. My breathing quickened as I pressed on. "Did anyone get into the room?" My sisters turned to me and, confused, said, "No one's moved from here." One of them replied, "We've been watching the movie the whole time." I then ran to check the driveway. Aya's car was gone, confirming he had not returned. Yet the sounds I heard was unmistakable. And as if to emphasize the eerie timing, Aya's voice suddenly echoed from the mosque, calling the azan for prayers. I returned to the room, determined to find an explanation. I looked around. The door to the backyard was still locked from the inside, secured with a broom wedged across it, a habit my mum always practiced. There was no sign of anyone entering or leaving the room. No sign of somebody in the room as well. But the memory of the laughter, that oppressive weight, stayed with me long after the incident. I never stopped using my parents' room as a place to nap or relax, even after that, even after my father passed away years later. Yet every time I close my eyes in that space, I can't help but feel a faint chill, as if the shadows of that day still linger. Was it just sleep paralysis? Or was there something else in the room with me? Something that laughed as it watched me struggle? To this day, I don't know. Perhaps I never will. Well, that's all the story for this episode. After listening to this story, would you sleep during Solat time again? Well, let me know in the comment section down below. Once again, if you have yet to subscribe, I would appreciate it if you can. Until the next episode, this is Kim from Creepy with Coffee.